Do you think possibly it has to do with the fact that around this time, Tom Hanks had transitioned to more of a dramatic actor?
I think so, yeah, because long gone were Turner and Hooch, Bachelor Party, Joe versus the Volcano. Those days were in his rear view.
Yeah.
And I think maybe people, when they had forgotten that he was a comedic actor to begin with. Hell, Bosom Buddies, for God's sake.
Burbs.
Yeah. And they see him like, oh, he's this serious actor. And so for him not only to do comedy, but just such absurd comedy, it seems, it would be like doing a frat house comedy where like Anthony Hopkins plays like the new non-trad student and he's just like pounding beers like, where are the bitches?
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Coddington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
And Brian, I am ready to make beautiful music with you.
Oh, man. This is going to be fun. And I'm glad that you did that impression. I figure you would have done, we need waffles.
We must have waffles. We must think. We must have waffles forthwith. Yeah. Anytime there's somebody who's not supposed to be where they are, to this day, I say he brought his bitch to the Waffle Hut.
Oh, man. Well, we're on episode 268. And kind of as a palate cleanser to our last episode, because that one was a fucking nightmare.
It was work, not with a lot of work.
Well, what was funny was like your girlfriend sent me a video today. Apparently she was filming us as we were watching Twisted Pair, and the reaction on our faces was hilarious, and also the reaction on the dog's face was
even the dog knew it was crap.
The dog was just looking at the camera like, why are these morons watching this shit?
The dog knew it was crap, and the dog eats its own crap. So that says a lot,
It's a connoisseur of crap, so like it knows its own shit when it sees it. So like being able to watch this movie, which is I believe 2004, Cohen Brothers movie that is universally, I believe, hated. Like this is not liked by many people. The Ladykillers, a remake of a Alec Guinness film.
Yeah.
From, I believe, the 60s?
Well, according to the internet,
the internet.
The Ladykillers is a 2004 American black comedy crime thriller directed by Joel and Ethan Cohen. The Cohen Brothers screenplay was based on the 1955 British comedy film.
55. God damn it.
Yeah. The Cohen Brothers remake, together with Tom Jacobson, Barry Sonnenfeld, who was the original, the original director, and Barry Joseph. It stars Tom Hanks, Armin Puel, Marlon Wayans, J.K. Simmons, and marks the first time the Cohen Brothers have worked together with Tom Hanks. This was the first time Joel and Ethan Cohen shared producing and directing credits. The film was primarily shot in, God help me, not Cheats, Mississippi.
Not Cheats.
I don't know how to say that. And Colonial Street. The Ladykillers received mixed reviews and grossed $76 million on a $35 million budget, which means it did make shit. Many critics consider it one of the Coen brothers' weaker efforts, negatively comparing it to the British classic.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. Like, I remember this movie when it was advertised, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to see that.
I think that because they had just made the movie Intolerable Cruelty, and I didn't really like George Clooney. I didn't like Catherine Zeta-Jones. So I'm like, even though the Coen brothers name is smacked on there, I'm like, I'm not going to go see that movie.
I love that movie. That's a good movie. And I hate romantic comedies.
Okay. Well, but the thing is, what got me, I'm like, oh, but this time around looks like another zany Coen Brothers comedy, but this one's got Tom Hanks and J.K. Simmons and Marlon Wayans. Like, yeah, I want to go see that. Like that looks funny because I like the people in the movie.
Plus, I mean, and I'm sure we're going to get into this, but this one I would put in the same realm of ridiculousness as like the Hudsucker Proxy. That one is by far. I'd say that one and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou are my favorite Coen Brothers films.
It's strange though, because for people that said this one's too cartoony, if like Fritz the Cat creator did Looney Tunes, it would be this, but like I don't know, this film seems a little more grounded than Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I can see is the characters of like Tom Hanks, Marlon Wayans, J.K. Simmons are very cartoonish, like more so than usual. And I prior to us recording, I didn't tell you this, I watched the Ebert and Ropert review of this one. Did you see that one?
I have a few quotes from Roger's
good. I figure you review. Of all people would, because it was scathing, and I'm like, I didn't hate it as much as those motherfuckers did.
Yeah,
I think Ebert, which he's burning hell. I think he called Marlon Wayans' performance a disgrace because he said F-bombs.
You know, there have been some people that mentioned the only reason this movie even has an R rating is because of Marlon Wayans' mouth. Like, what else in this movie gives it an R rating? I guess maybe the subject matter.
The subject matter, I think, is one thing. The murderings, if you will. Yeah. But it's that the truth is like the murderings in this one, and we'll get to this, are very cartoonish. Like they literally are like Looney Tunes level.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Home Alone. Like if you took that violence, if it was like true to life, it would be horrifying. You know, it has to be, Marv has to turn into a skeleton so you can laugh at a man being electrocuted, you know?
Yeah.
But to point out something here real quick, Rotten Tomatoes, for what that's worth, critics are 54%.
Hey, I tried to submit us to Rotten Tomatoes. Don't trash it completely.
Fair enough. The glory that is Rotten Tomatoes. Critics 54%, audience 43%. So yeah, not universally loved like say Fargo or some of their other movies. But when I said the movie grossed 76 million worldwide, if you've listened to our show a million times, you know how we mentioned this. But if this is the first time listening, on a $35 million budget, that means that they spent probably another 30 million on marketing. So really 76 on 65, that is considered a disaster.
Yeah, it's not good.
So critics didn't like it, audiences didn't like it, and it didn't make no money.
No, it didn't. And I don't know what it is. I think I think the biggest thing that this movie struggled with is how to sell it. Because like as I said, like I saw the trailer for this when it was initially screening, and I was like, I don't really want to see that. But you know, upon watching it, I was busting out laughing at some of this stuff in here. It is a dark comedy, and I think that's one of the things too is that, and this has been a common trend on Really That Awful. You know, we pick movies that oftentimes are not well received by the overall public. But because John, you and I are assholes and we have a very dark sense of humor, this sort of material always tends to work well for us. I mean, we've done The Cable Guy, we've done Death to Smoochie, you know, movies that failed at the box office majorly.
And somewhere down the line, we'll be doing Very Bad Things. I don't know when.
That's a good one.
I'm sorry to promote something that we don't even know when it will drop. I
don't even know. That's not even on the schedule, John.
9
it's
months,
not on the schedule.
A year. Yeah,
it's not on the schedule. I told John this. You know, I'm trying this year to be better about planning, so it's not on the fucking schedule, John. But it will be. Yeah. But yeah, I've noticed that dark comedies do not do well commercially ever. Like I can't think of a dark comedy that has made its money on release. It usually makes it on the cult status, on the replay value, on the digital downloads or even like, you know, DVDs and VHS from back in the day.
So yeah, I would say, you know, and we'll probably be jumping around, but reasons I think that the film wasn't liked is that with some exceptions, like obviously Fargo, which is probably considered by most like their, you know, biggest success. Like people don't tend to like the Cohen Brothers comedies as much as they do like their serious efforts. I think it's a combination of, and I don't necessarily agree with this, but that the guys almost seem like they have a disdain for their characters. It's a little too intellectual at times, and then with that half that spice is in there, and then the other half of the spice is really dark and disturbing humor that I think that loses a lot of the audience. And while I've never felt it about the Cohen Brothers movies, if you, dear listeners of Psychos Nation, if you want to go back into our archives, you will hear Brian and I go back and forth on the movie Scrooged. And the problem I had with that movie is I felt like the filmmakers had a disdain for the audience. And I could see how some people might almost even feel that about the Cohen Brothers when they make comedies, because it almost seems like they have either a disdain for their characters or for the audience itself. I don't feel that, but I could see how someone could make that as a valid argument.
I think the biggest thing is just they honestly lead with, and I've noticed this, they lead with drama first. Like, you know, an underappreciated Coen Brothers film that I know makes a lot of top 10 lists is Miller's Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd say that's heavy on the drama, more so. But like, you've also got bizarre characters, you know, in that film that are goofy and off the wall. But it's a drama first movie. So just kind of echoing what you're saying, like when they're pure comedy, when they try to go lean in more to the comedy side, it doesn't play, because I think where they're more successful is in these movies that are drama first, comedy second.
Yeah, well, in a movie that I love watching all the time at Christmas time is Bad Santa, and I know that movie turns off a lot of audiences. And the reason I mention it is that the Coen Brothers punched up that script.
Yeah.
You know, so they added a lot of that dark kind of nihilistic humor. And I think that word needs to be mentioned, but not just because of Big Lebowski.
I was going to say, we're nihilists. We believe in nothing.
No, it must be exhausting. But I think that their comedies tend to be fairly nihilistic. And I could see how that draws people off, because like, what does this movie believe in? What redeeming value do any of these people have?
Well, I mean, John, right there, you hit the nail on the head. This movie in particular, with the exception of the lady who lives in the house, Irma P. Hall as Marvin Munson, everyone in this movie is just unlikable, and you hate them, even though, like, at the same time, there are main characters, there are protagonists.
But at the same time, like, I feel like you do love them because they're so outrageous, they're so funny, and for the longest time they're non-violent criminals. So it's like, you know, I don't know. I didn't have anything against Marv or Harry for trying to rob rich ass people in Chicago.
No.
Yeah,
but here's the thing. Like, I think that's also looking at it through the lens of now grown up millennials, where we've, again, not trying to inject our political beliefs in, but you know, we've kind of seen the world kind of shit the bed before our eyes. So like, that's part of the reason why that you and I probably are not have a problem with it. But I just think that, you know, even though these characters are goofy, you know, their final act in the movie is to try to kill an old lady who's asking them to do the right thing. You know what I mean? It kind of makes you really not root for them at that point. And I could see, and I'm not talking about you and I, John, I could see where the average movie-going audience member might say, well, why do I care about any of these characters if they're going to do, like, horrible things? And then they all, sorry, spoiler for you all, they all die.
Well, that's so bizarre to me, too, because for a movie made by two Jewish brothers, there is so much hit you in the face Christian iconography in this movie. And I'm not talking about Miss Munson going to church. Like, it's the fact that our main characters live in the basement like they're in hell, and then they all have to go to like the garbage island for their sins, and you know, and when they try to murder an innocent person, like fate, or i.e. the heavens above, step in and save her from all this. Like, this movie could very much easily be seen as Christian propaganda in a way.
No, I mean, you're not wrong, but I think they're also coming from a track that they had established with movies like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, you know, again, based in the setting, the South, has a lot of that Christian iconography, although it's kind of plastered over top of Greek mythology, because that's what it is. That's what the movie is about. It's about the Odyssey. So it's just it's interesting that the reaction to this movie has been in the negative, and one of the criticisms is just we're talking about it's the characters of these criminals being bumbling buffoons that you don't root for.
Well, here's one of the reviews. Like, here's just a quick, like, 2-line snippet from one of the reviews I saw. And I really don't think this is fair because I think comedy's comedy. And if it's funny, it's funny. He's, and I apologize, I can't remember who I stole this soundbite from, but still, it's insinuating when such savvy filmmakers expect us to laugh automatically at 4-letter words, bathroom humor, and caricatures as crude as they are unoriginal. So I think that guy is trying to say that, like, the J.K. Simmons character having IBS.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, it is, but I think that they think like, oh, well, that just makes us Dumb and Dumber. It makes them the Fairley Brothers, low brow. But I think if we saw him on the toilet like Jeff Daniels taking a crap, then maybe I'd agree with them. But they find a way to make the joke about IBS very wordy, like the Cohen Brothers do, and funny in that sense.
Well, I mean, let's look at this from a storytelling perspective, okay? Yeah. And again, sorry we're jumping around, folks, but this particular point about J.K. Simmons, which he has probably one of the best names in this movie, Garth Pancake, which you can't. I was like, is that a real name? But it is. So there is a moment in this movie where J.K. Simmons has to collapse the tunnel that they're tunneling into, and I'm sure John will eventually get to the plot of this movie. Yeah. But they're trying to collapse a tunnel to a tunnel. They're tunneling into a casino vault, and the bomb doesn't go off. So we're told throughout the movie that J.K. Simmons has this thing, IBS, and that it kind of rears its head on comfortable moments. So from a storytelling perspective, we have a situation. The bomb's not going off. All right. So what do? The character could go in. All right, cool. They go in. They're the expert on the explosives. They go in, try to in the tunnel. What is going to happen? That's going to ratchet up the tension. The IBS happens. Okay, so you've got the IBS happening at the same time as the tunnel. He's trying to run back out before he shits his pants, and the thing explodes. So you could call it a toilet humor if you want. But it makes sense within the realm of the story.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, Brian, I think
you could tell me I'm wrong.
No. When you're right, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Am I right? Or am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Little Groundhog's Day reference for us all. But no, just to Brian, tell me if I'm missing anything. I'm going to try to give a flyby plot here, and we can break down scenes if we think it's specifically needed. Sure. But we meet Miss Munson as she goes to the sheriff's office. She's mad because a couple of local kids have what we used to call sometimes in the 90s a blaster, i.e. a big stereo.
Yeah.
Listening to rap music. And
she calls it hippity hop music.
Yeah. Left my wallet in El Segundo. And and the sheriff is just like, he kind of gives her kind of look like, oh boy, here she is complaining about something else because she just doesn't fit in this world, as it's changing. As she returns home, she hears a knock at the door, and it's Tom Hanks's character who says he is there on sabbatical from teaching and that she has a room for let that he would like to take her up on, but says he also works with a orchestra and they like to perform classical music, which he manipulates her by saying music of God, because he sees Jesus everywhere in her house. And he goes in the basement and says it'll do perfectly. And then we're introduced to all of our side characters. We got Marlon Wayans, who's like what we just think of as like a janitor with a wise cracking vulgar mouth.
We got Gawain.
Yeah, we got a football player who's had too many hits to the head.
Lump is his name.
We have an Asian donut store owner,
the general,
and we have a guy who kind of works in the entertainment industry as like an explosive expert,
Garth Pancake.
Yeah, and we meet all these characters, and they all come together. And wouldn't you know it, there's a docked casino that has its vaults are on land, and the old lady's house. If you dig through the subsoil in her basement, you will be able to get to the back wall, which is not protected because why would it be?
Why would it be?
And you can get into the room, steal all the money, close up the wall, and it'll be like the money just vanished. And then shenanigans ensue because all these people are so radically different. They have to lie to the old lady what they're doing down there, and everybody makes different mistakes. The general is smoking and has to flip his cigarette in his mouth. Marlon Wayans is almost like causing them to be revealed all the time because he just can't control his mouth. Lump is too stupid to to say anything properly. So yeah, they have to keep hiding from her what they're really doing downstairs. Until accidentally the explosion goes off while she's in the house. Money flies everywhere. They have to admit to her what they did. And then she decides like, no, you have to return the money. And they realize, okay, we're going to go to jail if we return the money. So we have to kill this lady. And they all try one by one and fail horribly until all of them are dead and on the garbage island. And then Miss Munson takes all that money. She goes to the sheriff, says, I got all this money in this house. All the guys ran off out of fear. And he says, not believing her because she's just this crazy old lady that comes in all the time. He says, why don't you just keep the money? And then she gives it to a racist college because they're because they're a Bible school as a last fuck you to the audience.
He gives it a racist college. That was pretty good, John. I'd say for summaries of films, I mean, you pretty much over the course of, what was that, maybe like 5 minutes, knocked it out of the park. Good job. So where to start with this one? Do you want to start with each one of our characters? Our bizarro characters, if you will?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about him already, but Garth Pancake, I got to start with him. So J.K. Simmons, which this was at a time when J.K. Simmons was not as well known and popular as he is now. This is well before. I think this came out before Juno.
Yeah. I mean, he was J. Jonah Jameson, but I don't think that people really separated J.K. Simmons from that character.
No, they didn't. Yeah. He wasn't really a dramatic actor at this point, at least not in like the mainstream, right? Like because of who he is now, like we know him from like Whiplash and a bunch of other movies, as an indie darling. But, at this time, he hadn't yet, like, I think really for him, Juno was kind of the first step on kind of his transition from slapstick comedy all the way to drama. But, so he's in this as Garth Pancake. And Garth Pancake, I got to say, him and the General are probably my two favorite characters in this whole fucking movie. Because Garth Pancake comes at this thing from, like, he has almost like a Macho Man Randy Savage kind of voice, but without like the cocaine and heroin and whatever else Randy Savage was doing. But
definitely cocaine.
Yeah, it was the 80s. But he kind of comes at this as a very brilliant tactician when it comes to like explosives, but he doesn't know how the hell to talk to people.
Yeah, well, Brian, you and I have been in the film industry. We've met this guy who comes on set with almost like 6 belts, like different utility belts. Well, I can do that. I can fix that. I can wire that. I can explode that.
Yes, yes. We have met. Usually, they're in the grip and electric department.
Yeah.
Which I've worked in the grip and electric department. They're gaffers. Brilliant people, by the way. I'm not trying to kiss ass. I'm being honest. Like every person that I've worked with that was in that, they're absolutely brilliant, and you would not have a movie without them. But anyway, this is that guy in human form in a movie, and he's hilarious. Like every line he has is spot on. His whole line about the IBS is talking about how he met his girlfriend and life partner, Mountain Girl.
Mountain.
Yeah. Mountain. Her name's Mountain Girl. And I mean, they're at the Waffle Hut going back and forth because Mountain Girl knows their true intentions, and that they met at an IBS conference in the Catskills.
Well, what I love so much about this character is he could so easily be like a closed-minded, racist, ignorant character, but he's just one of those really super old school liberals.
Oh yeah. Like there's a scene where he's talking to Marlon Wayans because he's like, well, where I came from the North. I know how I came down here. I came down as part of the Freedom Riders. Yeah. And Marlon Wayans just looking at him like, what the fuck? And he has the gall to say, you wouldn't have your right to vote if it weren't for me. And then Marlon Wayans says, I don't vote.
Yeah. You fuck you little punk. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. But I love his character. His character is one of my absolute favorites in this. J.K. Simmons really like delivers it all. What'd you think about him?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a role that I haven't enjoyed J.K. Simmons in. I even like him in farmers commercials. You know,
Yeah.
Speaks to the man's talent. He can make commercials about, car and home insurance, and it's like, that was a good job, J.K.
Yeah. So next character, John, you want to talk about?
Oh well, I mean, easy enough. Let's talk about Lump.
Yeah. Ryan, butchering his name. Played by Ryan Hurst. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Lump Hudson. It's funny to think that he then becomes one of the main characters on Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Ryan Hurst is most known for his role on Sons of Anarchy. And he has like a major league role. And I just finished up that series, which is brilliant, by the way. His character's Opie. But yeah, it's funny to see him in this because it's completely different. Completely different. So
I feel bad, like, because he's on like such a famous show what I haven't seen, and like I know him as Lump. It's like whenever I talk about Jeffrey Dean Morgan to women and they go, "Oh my god, that guy from Grey's Anatomy," I'm like, "Oh, really?
No.
Okay, yeah."
No, yeah. If you haven't got a chance to, man, you got to check out Sons of Anarchy because especially Ryan Hurst, his role as Opie is awesome. Like he is one of the standout characters in that series, and his arc in it absolutely has an effect on everyone else in that series.
So Lump is basically the muscle. And he's an idiot. And I refuse to believe it was all because of hits to the head from football. I think he was already an imbecile to begin with. But and he's there to offer the I don't really know what's going on, like one-liners, pretty much.
Yeah, and he really doesn't even get a word in until the very end.
I do like when he says,
"Professor, I don't know how to play the sack, but."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's out of all the characters in this, he's the most cartoonish.
Yeah,
like I would say he's the most cartoonish. He kind of reminds me of like those old school Looney Tune characters that were just like, his name is George and I will love him. You know what I'm talking about?
Or the two mafia guys.
Yes,
like Wyatt Mimsy.
Yes, yeah. So Lump's there. Next I want to talk about the General, which I love this character too. This is my second favorite character. The General is the most badass out of everyone, like even more badass than Garth Pancake.
Yeah, if this mission could have just been done by the General and by Tom Hanks's character and 4 generals, they would have succeeded.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised that no review has talked about the fact that the General has a Hitler stash.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
No, it's a Hitler stash, man. Like that is 100% Hitler stash. But yeah, the General, he owns this donut shop, and like we're introduced to him where he gets robbed, and his wife is just like very calm, and just out of nowhere, the General sticks his 2 fingers up the robber's nose and then flips him. I was like, what the fuck? Like that was the moment I said, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like this movie.
Yeah, the General is a badass man of like all trades. He wears many hats.
Ex-Viet Cong.
Yeah.
So and Tom Hanks even says in this, he's like, yes, he's an expert at tunneling because of his war experience. So, but he's the most badass out of them all. His only vice is that he smokes and can't stop. And he has a tendency to, when he's around Miss Munson, throw his cigarette into his mouth.
And that's one of the things I do like about this movie. I like anything that the script hits all the points it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And it sets everything up that it needs to. And this movie there's nothing that happens in it that isn't set up properly.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, everything in this, as you say, there's never a moment where we don't see the bullet go into the gun and then not get fired.
Yeah.
Like everything is set up. Even, and I know this is deviant from the talk about the characters, but even the picture frame of Miss Munson's dead husband, like the reactions changing.
You know, I could agree with people though if they said like, okay,
I love that part.
I mean, it does. I liked it too, but it does seem pretty fucking silly.
It's silly, but again, like these are cartoon characters in human form, right? Like we can all agree with that. This is not a serious movie.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing too is like if you know the Cohen brothers, you know they have a history with Sam Raimi, like they know each other really well, have worked on each other's films. So like Sam Raimi's the king of slapstick. So sure enough, that's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was all for, and honestly, he's done the same thing. They both have done the same thing in like Intolerable Cruelty. They did the same thing with the picture, same gag. But I liked it. I thought it was funny. But it's a setup thing, right? Yeah. We keep going back to it every single time to get the reaction of, you know, and that's honestly the audience's reaction is that painting, right?
Well, I mean, too, I think like another example of hitting you over the head with Christian symbolism is that like Otho is in heaven, you know, and he's looking down on his wife and keeping her safe from heavens above from these swindlers.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why his expression changes every time the bad guys do something really
the
shady.
Explosion going off and seeing that picture's face. That's got to be one of my favorite parts is the explosion goes off in the house and they just cut to the picture. Whoa. Oh man. All right. Next character, John, do you want to talk about?
Oh, I guess we got, what is Marlon Wayans' character's name?
Gowan.
Gowan. Yeah. He is the proverbial man inside. So it's up to him that after they because he works on the Bandit Queen, after they like redo the wall, you know, he's to then walk out the door you know, out of the safe, which is what he's supposed to do. And yeah, it just appears as if the money is vanished. And we're supposed to kind of overlook the fact that, you know, that the last time the money was seen in the room was when he was in there and then he left and the money wasn't there anymore. They're still going to like arrest him. But anywho, this is a Looney Tunes comedy. We don't need to go there.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah. Marlon Wayans' character is like over the top, like zany. And I would say, dare I say, stereotypical.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to give credit to Ebert and Roper, but I think if anything, that would be the thing that they disliked. Okay. I wouldn't call him a disgrace. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a little harsh.
That's harsh. But then again, these are the same people who tore apart horror movies from the 80s because, oh my God, there was some blood. Again,
well, too, like Marlon Wayans had enough clout. He had enough like juice in the biz.
Yeah.
At that point, he didn't have to do. If he thought this movie was insulting, he could have just gone to the next one.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do this movie. He said, "Oh yeah, this is funny." So if he did it, then maybe we. He looked at.
I want to work with the Cohen brothers.
Yeah.
And more power to him.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, like, well, I don't think his character is one that I connect with the most. You know, he's got moments where, you know, he really does like amp up everybody else. Like his back and forth arguments with Garth Pancake are some of the best moments in the movie. You know, you have to have that tension there. And if you took that character out or you made them less, as they call, disgraceful, the movie wouldn't play well.
And I'd say most of the memorable lines I remember from the movie are from Marlon.
Yeah.
You know, fuck you and the Swiss Miss. It's great stuff. Yeah.
It is. The man should have played Robin. Like, I know he was set up for that, but he should.
Could you imagine how that would have changed his career and his life? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they still had to pay him for it. So
they still did.
They paid him base. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he got any money from the White Robin action figure that you could buy from Batman.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Because I have that action figure in the box, and it's like obviously they made him white because they didn't know.
Because racism.
Yeah, and I wonder if he got any royalties from that.
Probably did. I wouldn't be surprised. Probably used his likeness to craft it. And then of course our last character to talk about out of our gang of crazies is Mr. I'm going to try to pronounce his name on here. Goldthwaite Higginson Dorr, PhD.
Like Fudd?
Like Fudd? Elmer Fudd? No. A monicum of academic achievement. Oh, Tom Hanks, man. He can go for 1 minute playing a dramatic character and go back to doing what he started out with, which is playing comedic roles. It's hilarious.
So let's talk about him for a minute here.
Okay.
I think that and this is going to sound bizarre.
Okay.
I think what makes this movie work and what makes it fail is Tom Hanks. And I think it's in the eye of the beholder. I think some people could be like, oh, well, thank God Tom Hanks was in there. He saved it with his loony type of humor. And then other people just like could see like, oh, this guy is just, for being such a great actor and, and he just goes so over the top. It just doesn't work. So, and I almost feel both ways about the character. And this is coming from a guy who loves this movie. There are times where I feel like his performance is a distraction. And then there are other times where I can think, God, if they hadn't gotten Tom Hanks in this movie, they wouldn't have even gotten 56% critics, Do
you think possibly it has to do with the fact that around this time, Tom Hanks had transitioned to more of a dramatic actor?
I think so, yeah, because long gone were Turner and Hooch, Bachelor Party, Joe versus the Volcano, those days were in his rear view.
Yeah.
And I think maybe people, when they had forgotten that he was a comedic actor to begin with. Hell, Bosom Buddies, for God's sake, the
Burbs.
Yeah. And they see him like, oh, he's this serious actor. And so for him not only to do comedy, but just such absurd comedy, it seems, it would be like doing a frat house comedy where like Anthony Hopkins plays like the new non-trad student and he's just like pounding beers like, where are the bitches?
I'm just imagining Anthony Hopkins in like his Captain Bligh like screaming voice from The Bounty, just saying, where are the bitches? Where are they?
Where are they, Clarice?
You're mixing your movies now. Mixing your Hopkins movies. I think that is probably the reason why, honestly, like I think, as you said, the public got used to dramatic actor Tom Hanks. They got used to Forrest Gump. They got used to him from Apollo 13. They got used to him. I think this was before or after Castaway? This was after.
It was after. Yeah, and after Road to Perdition.
Yeah, so he had done all of these like really amazing dramas.
Well, here's what somebody online, and I'm not just a random person, but a critic. They said, now comes a Cohen Brothers remake with Tom Hanks in the Guinness role. And although Hanks would be the right actor to play a low-key deceiver, the Coens have made his character so bizarre that we get distracted just by looking at him. I don't agree with that, but that idea is out there,
Yeah, I mean that is the one thing that I have seen from people who and John, have you seen the original?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen the original, but one thing I have seen from people who have seen it is just that Alec Guinness, which is the character that Tom Hanks is playing here, the mastermind. Even though Alec Guinness is a serious actor, we all know him as Obi-Wan Kenobi from the original Star Wars movies, but he comes from a pedigree of dramatic acting and can transition into a comedic but less over the top role.
Yeah, his character's a lot more like swarmy and snakish.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas Tom Hanks in this is kind of swarmy and buffoonery.
And I don't know, is it it could be any of his tics. It could be his facial hair. It could be, how he seems like a fish out of water compared to everybody else.
He literally looks like the caricature of a Southern lawyer mixed with Foghorn Leghorn.
And it makes total sense. If he's this pseudo intellectual con man, this is what he would think like an intellectual with like 2 doctorates would act like, look like, behave like.
Yes, but it's like that person, but in like 1850.
Yeah. And that was one of the things. I couldn't find that for this interview, but I think I read it in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette like 30,000 years ago when this movie came out, is that the guy who was reviewing for the Post-Gazette at the time said it felt like the Miss Munson and Tom Hanks's character, Goldthwait, seemed like they were from a completely different time than the rest of the characters in the movie.
Yes. And that can be disorienting. John, you and I have gone back and forth on like one of the problems with Batman 89, which there aren't a lot of them. There seriously aren't. It's a brilliant movie. But is that we cannot place what time period that movie takes place in.
Dressed in the 40s, cars like the 40s, but tape recorders and television sets.
And punk rockers from the 80s. So like for an audience, those little things where you cannot place the time period can be disorienting. And if it's disorienting to the audience, then they aren't going to like it. And they're not going to connect with the movie.
Yeah. And I do think that is one of the bigger faults of the movie. But see, I don't have a problem with Miss Munson. She just seems old fashioned.
Yeah. Miss Munson doesn't bother me too much. It's Tom Hanks dressed like Foghorn Leghorn, Southern, like Old South Southern gentleman. Which I'm like, no one in their right mind dresses like that at all.
Well, and the Cohen Brothers, who, when you go to a Cohen Brothers movie, you're going to have fun with the English language.
Yes.
So, so for him to be like, won't eventually the feline domesticus grow tired of his lonesome perch upon for his master's affections come down upon his own free will? My point being, must we ascend the tree? It's like, so that also makes him unspeakably unbelievable because he talks like he's in a Cohen Brothers movie.
Well, here's the thing is I don't think that was an act of the character. I don't think the character was putting on an act. I think that was him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that might have helped with this one is if in those moments where Goldthwait is not in front of Miss Munson and not in front of Miss Munson's like tea party and things like that, where he did drop the Southern drawl crap.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be received much better. Like if the whole shtick was just that, a shtick, and it was not, this is the character, this is who he is, then I think people would get it if he dropped it when he was in private or with just, his gang of minions.
And, and the thing is like, so, her friends from church, sorry, pronouns, Miss, what's her name?
Miss Munson's.
Miss Munson, thank you. Her friends they're like intrigued by him because he seems bizarre, but they're not threatened. They're almost kind of like, oh, This guy's unique and interesting. He seems a little bizarre, but whatever,
Yeah, I just think that would have saved it if he took off the veneer of the weird 1850s Southern gentleman and went to like something that was maybe a bit more like the Alec Guinness version, where he is just kind of swarthy and just like snake-like. But at the same time, the vibe of this whole movie is just off the walls goofy.
Exactly.
Which it's that's okay. That's that going into it. Like as soon as I put the movie on and had that moment where where Goldthwait is introduced, I knew what kind of movie I was getting right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just to take another not soundbite but written bite. What it does manage to do is to present the one time that the old criticism that the Coens despise their characters and lord over them smugly is correct. Miss Munson is the one genuinely kind, good character in any Coen film that the film openly and eagerly shits on for the twin crimes of being Baptist and being an old person who doesn't listen to rap music. So that's the meanness.
I disagree with that.
The second part I think is absurd, but
yeah, the second part I disagree with.
But I kind of hit on this earlier, but the idea that the Coens despise their characters and lord over them smugly, I'm a bit more open-minded about their outlook on the characters, but I could see how some people could feel that way.
I look at it as that's their prerogative.
Yeah.
That's their prerogative. That every movie they do this. It's not a new thing. Like even the movies that everyone loves, they do this with. Everyone goes to Fargo as one of their best ones. Okay. Yeah. Look at every character in that movie. like everyone except for Marge is pretty much, a moron or a terrible person. And that's kind of it. So like that's their style. I think that's one of the things that I think critics at this time fail to take into account is that sometimes directors have a unique style that they like to follow because, they're not making movies for the audience. They're making movies for themselves. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It'd be like, a reviewer being like, that Wes Anderson movie looked like an Easter basket in symmetry. Everything was just dead center.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course it was. That's who he is.
It's like, that's literally what the man does.
Yeah.
That's the style. And it's, you either like it or you don't like it. But to pick out like one movie and say, oh, well, I don't like what they did with these characters that they've done in literally every single one of their films, especially the one that, a couple of years ago I said was amazing. It's like, you can't do that. Like it's one or the other. So, I disagree with that second part of that particular quote because I don't think they're attacking her because of her religion. But I think if anything, they're making a comment on the ignorance that sometimes comes with religion.
Yeah, which is more than fair.
Fair.
But Brian, just a couple of other things that I think like reasons why people might not have liked this one and what you think here. I don't think that people like the Coen brothers going for low-hanging fruit.
No, they don't.
Obviously, we had mentioned the IBS jokes, the over-the-top Marlon Wayans performance, and let's face it, there are countless stereotypes in this movie.
Yes.
The general's a stereotype. Marlon Wayans' character is a stereotype. Miss Munson is a stereotype.
Goldthwait is a stereotype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say about this movie being zany is how is this movie any more zany than Raising Arizona?
It's not.
That's
what I'm saying, man. It's like the Coen brothers have a style. You either love it or you don't. They have a tendency to make either dramas that have dark comedy elements to it, or they make dark comedies. And that's it. With characters that, by and large, you don't like. Even the Hudsucker Proxy, which is one of my favorite Coen brother films, you end up not liking just about everybody in the movie.
Yeah. At
one point or another. Even Tim Robbins' character, who they introduced in the first part of the movie, is like an aspirational, really nice guy who it ends up getting thrust into a circumstance that, he isn't ready for. He becomes a shit in the movie. Like, he's an asshole. But that's just the way these movies go when the Coen brothers are making them. That's just how it works.
Do you feel that this movie is hard to critically encapsulate? Is it kind of like just such a bizarre movie that it doesn't land exactly where it needs to be, that even though it's very narrow in its focus, it's kind of a little bit scattered like a spider web kind of?
I can see where people might have that viewpoint, but I also think that people who understand the Coen Brothers style of filmmaking will get this. Do I think it is as refined as, say, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, or even Intolerable Cruelty? No, I don't. I think that there are some moments in this that, you mentioned low hanging fruit. I think there are more low hanging fruit jokes in this one than in other ones, and maybe that's just because this is also their first time remaking a film. Not being the ones to originate the idea. So there is always that.
And there's something to be said about that, is that the original director, and no, not that Barry Sonnenfeld, but a different Barry Sonnenfeld, was originally meant to direct this, and the Coen brothers were there to help him punch up the remake script. And something happened where he had to drop out, and the studio was just like, hey, Coen brothers, why don't you direct it? So, if it feels like, oh, maybe it's a little bit off from what the Coen brothers normally make, they never intended to direct and produce it in the first place.
Right. So I think people need to understand that. But, people are going to look at the final result and go, oh, well, the filmmakers did that. Just like, we look at Justice League and we can see the difference between the Zack Snyder cut and the He Who Shall Not Be Named cut. Yeah. So, I mean,
the greatest feminist who ever lived, Joss Whedon.
Oh my God.
That's going to be taken out of context by somebody online.
Oh man. Well, I did watch a Whatever Happened to Joss Whedon video that I think I think Joe Blow put it out recently, and yeah, it's really those things don't age well at all.
Gal, I will ruin your career if you don't hug me and give me half a chub.
Oh God, horrible. But no, I think people misunderstand this film, and they misunderstand it from a bunch of different directions. Really, they misunderstand it from looking at Tom Hanks's track record of being one of the best dramatic actors in modern time. You look at the movies that we look at, like Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Castaway. These are movies that are solid. Even his turn as Mr. Rogers in Cohen, Always Be Your Neighbor. Great film, but people forget he was a comedic actor for a long time.
Yeah.
And that itch doesn't go away, right? Like, it doesn't. That's part of you. So I think people misunderstood that. I think they also misunderstood that sometimes the Coen brothers are going to make a movie that maybe isn't as refined as their other work.
Yeah. And on kind of a last thought that I have here, Brian, do you think that there was too much hype for this movie? I mean, the Coen brothers are past Fargo. They're past Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. They're considered an artistic minded person, like the biggest directors in the country. You got Tom Hanks, who by that point is already a legend. Was there just too much hype going into this movie? Was it almost destined to fail?
I really think that I think marketing played a lot into this. I really believe that marketing played a lot in this one, because I don't think they knew how to market this thing.
Yeah.
I just don't. Like, it's not this is 2004. So what were the comedies that were coming out in 2004, John? Do you remember the comedies that came out in 2004?
Boy, was that when Scary Movie 3 or 4 came out? I remember
one of those, but it's like The Dude Where's My Car.
Yeah.
Like those, that style of gross out comedy. That was what was popular. Yeah. Road Trip. That was what was popular. So a comedy about one of the great dramatic actors currently working is going back to his comedic roots, and with a gaggle of goofy people robbing a casino by tunneling in through a woman's basement. That's not going to play well against Ashton Kutcher and Dude, Where's My Car?
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you expect? So, I mean, I think marketing came down to it as probably the biggest death nail, because if you can't market your film, if you don't know what it is, and I really think that a lot of movies that end up becoming these cult classics do suffer because of that thing. The studios don't understand what they have in their hands, and they only have like so many square pegs and so many round holes. And if you don't know how to shave it right to get it fit in, it's not going to work. So I think that's probably what did this movie in, aside from just the points were brought up earlier.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you that, like, you know, you have to sell this to an audience why they should go see it if they don't really give a crap about the Coen Brothers, Tom Hanks. Because when I saw this movie, I saw, I said, what, Coen Brothers, Tom Hanks, sold. Like, John, do you want to know the plot? I'm like, no. I've already bought a ticket.
But
you know,
we know this. Most people aren't like that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, most people aren't like that. They buy into whatever the story is. Like, Jesus Christ, they now have the what is it? The Fast and the Furious 10 X.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw the trailer for it when I went to go see Creed 3, and I can't see anyone saying, "Oh, well, this has Aquaman in it, so I have to go see it."
Yeah,
who will probably
turn out to be Dom's long lost cousin. And
oh
he'll join
man,
the
like,
family.
did you see the trailer for it?
Oh yeah, I can't avoid it.
His hairstyle in the one scene, Aquaman's, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he literally looks like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z.
Well, and not to sidebar, and I'll keep this as brief as possible.
Yeah.
But in the 9th one, John Cena tries to destroy the world. And because he doesn't at the end, and he's Dom's Lock's brother, Dom's like, come over for chicken and Corona. You know, so now he's a good guy. These movies are
Is that how it works? Is that how it works? You try to destroy the world, but hey, you're my long lost brother,
and
so
you
we
didn't.
Family now.
Yeah, and you didn't, so now we're family. Yeah. Oh, these movies are so dumb.
Fucking movies. But my point regarding bringing that up is just that, as ridiculously stupid as those fucking movies are, they know how to sell them.
Oh yeah.
You know, they know how to sell those things. So it's crazy.
Although I do think people are getting a little tired of some franchises, because I did have a George Costanza moment.
You had a George.
I was in a movie, and it was a trailer for the new Transformers movie.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, they're ramping up like how serious this is going to be, you know, for the trailer. And as soon as it goes to like it goes real quiet, it's just like coming like June or whenever it's coming out. I went, may God have mercy on us all. And the whole audience started laughing, and I could tell it wasn't that I was like super funny. It's that they were all sick and tired of Transformers movies too.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. No, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
They got the Beast Wars one now. Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is good talk, John.
Yeah. Well, shall we acknowledge whether this movie deserves the moniker of really that awful?
We have to.
I say hell no.
Hell fuck no.
Because, and look,
this is a fun time to watch.
Because awful is a strong word, and I could understand if you said I didn't really like this movie, but I dare you to say that it was torture to watch, or that you didn't laugh at least a couple of times. This movie is far from awful.
No.
Like it's given.
No, this is a pure example of a dark comedy. That is what this movie is. It is a dark comedy. You will not have a bad time watching this. I really, truly believe that.
Maybe a bit too zany for the Coens, but they didn't really go back to that well ever again. So,
you know what? If this is too zany for you, go follow it up with No Country for Old Men. Okay.
Yeah, that would be a nice palate cleanser.
There you go.
Of no music and a dangerous sociopath chasing down.
If you really need your Coen Brothers to be dour and dramatic with no comedy whatsoever, watch that movie. Okay. Yeah. But for the rest of us, I like to, I don't know, enjoy our films and laugh a little bit. This is a good time. You're not gonna have a bad time with this one. And I'm glad you turned me on to it, because I seriously had never seen this one before.
Yeah. So like not a bad time, but you know, it's not like you're going to hold it in the pantheon of movies that you remember the rest of your life, but still a good watch, right?
It's a good watch. I might watch it again just for some of the quotes. Like, that's the thing, is the quotes you get out of this movie are great. Like, and that lends itself to the Coen Brothers writing.
He brought his bitch to the Waffle Hut.
Well, I don't keep anything from Mountain. That's not how you keep a lasting, loving relationship.
He brought his bitch to the Waffle Hut.
That is the love of my life, and I'll thank you not to refer to her that way.
Oh, good. Oh, great. Great stuff.
We could just do that
we could.
for another hour. Just quote the movie. Yeah,
We could. This isn't the Batman episode. That's the only one we could do that with.
love that Joker.
God damn it, John. Oh, man. Well, with that said, John, where can they find you at on the internet?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Do hit me up as long as you're not just trolling me. If you want to have conversations, I'll have conversations with you. Don't hesitate to at me, and we can talk about movies and stuff. And you can find me over at JDubs Video Nasties on YouTube. I got a kind of a heady episode coming where I talk about the fascism and not just the original Dirty Harry movie, but kind of the franchise in general.
Mhm.
But I promise that I purposely take breaks during the episode to include fart jokes or a monkey washing a cat, just to liven it up a little bit.
Awesome. Well, you can find me at Brian Collington on Twitter. I also run the Psycho Show page on Twitter. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the TikToks for our Gen Z and millennial folk. We are on there at Cinema Psycho Show. I've been putting some videos up there. I actually did one from our Neil Breen episode. It did pretty well, so I'm happy about that one. If you are not cool enough to be on the TikTok, you can contact us at our website, cinemapsychoshow.com. Drop us a line. Also, just like with John talking about, go get him some FaceTime and talk to him, we have a Discord channel.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep bringing this motherfucker up. We have a Discord channel.
Talk to me, baby.
Okay. Link for it is in the description of this episode. Come hang out with us. Talk about movies. Maybe you liked Ladykillers. Maybe you hated it. Let us know. We want to talk about it. And it's links for it right there. Aside from that, be sure to follow us wherever you listen to audio, and we will see you next time.
Wing Freak terrorizes the mountain. Wait till they get a load of me.
Oh, shit.